You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told. Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case. They were just a young couple, two engineers from Bulacan, heading out for a quiet family trip. One tragic moment, 10 lives lost, and a child who survived alone. This is the story of a devastating crash, a broken system, and a nation searching for answers. Chapter 1, A Promise of Escape, May 1st, 2025, was supposed to be a special day for the young engineer couple from Bulacan. They had been working long hours, he in the construction sector, she as a personnel member of the Philippine Coast Guard. Between deadlines and duty calls, family time had become a rare gift. So when the long weekend arrived, they packed up their Kia Sonet SUV, loaded in their 2-year-old son, and hit the road. Their destination? The cool highlands of Baguio. It was their little escape, a much-needed break from city life. A chance to breathe, to laugh, to just be a family. They left Bulacan mid-morning, filled with anticipation. Photos from earlier that day would later show them smiling, the toddler happily cradled between them. It was a picture of normalcy, of love, of everything going right in a world that would soon go terribly wrong. As their SUV joined the northbound lane of the Subic-Clark-Tarlac Expressways, SCTEX, they had no way of knowing what lay ahead. Near the Tarlac City exit toll plaza, traffic had begun to slow. A line of vehicles waited to pay and continue their journey. The engineer couple's SUV, along with a Nissan Irvin van and other vehicles, had come to a near stop in the queue. And then everything changed. Chapter 2, Moments before impact at exactly 12:18 p.m., chaos struck. A solid north passenger bus, barreling down the northbound lane, failed to slow. The driver, later identified as having possibly dozed off at the wheel, didn't notice the vehicle stopped at the toll gate until it was too late. With no sign of braking, the bus crashed into the back of the Nissan Irvin van, launching it forward like a pinball. The van slammed into the Kia SUV, the one carrying the engineer couple and their toddler son, crushing it between the van and a trailer truck ahead. The impact was so violent that this SUV and van were mangled beyond recognition, their roofs torn, windows shattered, metal twisted like paper. Witnesses described hearing a thunderous boom, followed by screams. Some ran from their vehicles. Others froze, staring in horror at the pileup. 10 people died in an instant. 4 of them were children. Among the fatalities, the engineer husband and wife from Bulacan, their lives ended just meters away from their escape to Baguio. Rescue teams arrived to a scene of devastation. Cars looked like they'd been compacted by machines. Parang sardines, one responder said. Like sardines. Packed, crushed, unrecognizable. Yet in the middle of this destruction, something miraculous happened. Chapter 3, The Little Survivor. In the backseat of the Kia SUV, first responders found movement, a tiny arm, then a faint cry. Their 2-year-old son, secured in his car seat, was alive, bruised, shaken, but breathing. He had survived the force that had taken both his parents. Some called it a miracle, others a tragedy within a tragedy. The boy was rushed to a hospital in Bulacan. His minor injuries were treated quickly, but the emotional scars, the loss of a mother's lullaby, a father's embrace, those would take much longer to heal. Family members rushed to the hospital, overcome with grief and disbelief. Roxana Linas, the sister-in-law of the couple, spoke to reporters through tears. They were just going on a vacation, she said. Their baby is alive, but he's lost everything. The family gathered around the toddler, trying to protect him from the truth, but the reality hung heavy in the air. That night, as news stations aired the crash footage, the names of the dead scrolled across the screen. The couple, now identified, joined a grim list of lives lost on the road. Chapter 4. A family torn, a nation shaken, the news rippled across the country. Images of the crash flooded social media and television screens. The Coast Guard held a moment of silence for one of their own. Colleagues remembered her as diligent, smart, and kind-hearted. Her husband, also an engineer, was remembered by his firm as a quiet professional who often went the extra mile to get things done. Their love story cut short, their lives stolen, and for what? In their hometown in Bulacan, neighbors lit candles along the driveway of the couple's home. The Pikabate Nalang Magasawa, one neighbor said, they were kind, they were hardworking, and they adored their child. That child now had to grow up with only memories and photos. In interviews, Roxanne said the family would raise him surrounded by love. We'll remind him every day who his parents were, she promised. How much they loved him, how they were heroes in their own way. Chapter 5. Seeking answers, demanding justice as grief gave way to anger. The families of the victims demanded accountability. The bus driver, who survived with injuries, was taken into custody. He claimed he had fallen asleep behind the wheel. It wasn't the first time such a thing had happened, and that is what made it even worse. Charges of reckless imprudence resulting in multiple homicide were filed, but families wanted more than legal action. They wanted change. Transportation Secretary Vince Dison personally visited the scene and later met with the victims' families. In a press conference, he didn't mince words. This is neglect. This is preventable, and this cannot happen again. The LTFRB suspended all Solid North Transit operations for 30 days pending a safety review. The company promised cooperation, but many asked, why did it take 10 deaths to raise the alarm? Each victim's family was promised Philippine peso 400,000 in assistance. But as Roxanne said, no amount of money can bring them back. What she wanted, what many wanted, was for this to be the last time families would have to bury loved ones because someone fell asleep at the wheel. Chapter 6. System under strain, sadly. This wasn't an isolated incident. Road safety in the Philippines has long been a crisis hiding in plain sight. In 2021 alone, over 11,000 Filipinos died from road-related accidents. In December 2024, just months before the SCTEX crash, a truck with faulty brakes plowed through traffic on the Katipunan flyover in Quezon City, killing 4 and injuring 26. Days later, a speeding SUV careened into multiple vehicles in Manila. 6 were hurt, and in almost every case, the aftermath is the same. A statement, a suspension, a promise to investigate. Experts say the country's roads are dangerous not because of bad luck, but because of systemic failures. Poor driver training, lax enforcement of vehicle inspections, companies pushing drivers beyond safe limits to meet quotas. We have to fix this, Secretary Dison said, because if we don't, it'll happen again. And next time, it could be your family. Chapter 7. A legacy of love and a plea for change. Back in Bulacan, the couple's funeral drew hundreds. Friends, coworkers, neighbors all gathered to pay their respects. Their coffins were placed side by side, surrounded by flowers and framed photographs. Their son, too young to understand, played quietly nearby, watched over by family. He is the living proof of love and tragedy intertwined. Their story is no longer just theirs. It's part of a national reckoning, a call to action. Every driver who hears their story is reminded to slow down, to stay alert, to respect the road and the lives on it. Every policymaker is now confronted with the cost of inaction. The engineer couple from Bulacan were more than just victims of a crash. They were parents, professionals, People with dreams and plans and love in abundance, their deaths were avoidable. And if there's any justice, their memory will not just fade into another news cycle, but will spark real change, so no child has to grow up the way theirs will. Let their legacy be one of awareness, reform, and love that survives even the darkest road. That's all for tonight's story. Another thread in the web of true crime, quietly unraveling as the night goes on. If you're still with me, thanks for listening. And if sleep has already taken you, may your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. I'll be here next time by the fire with another story waiting to be told. Good night, and don't forget to lock your doors.